For this lesson, we're going to do quadratic equations to standard form level 2. So I'm going to remind you again what standard form is. Standard form is always having descending order of your exponents. So you want your x squared piece listed first, then your x term listed next, then your number, just a constant, no x's on it, set equal to 0. So for this first example, we're asked to write the quadratic equation in standard form. So I'm going to go ahead and write down what we're starting with. Not like that, I'm going to write it again. 20 minus 2x squared minus 5x equals 4. Remember, we have two things that we need to keep in mind. That it is in descending exponent order and that it's set equal to 0. So the first thing that I'm going to take care of is I'm going to make sure that my left-hand side, where I'm getting everything to, is already in descending order. So I want this negative 2x squared piece to be listed first, and it's really important that you keep the sign with it so that you're not writing a positive 2x squared, you're writing it as negative 2x squared. So we just took care of listing our x squared piece. Now we want to list our term that is just an x piece. So if I want to get the x piece next, I'm going to look at negative 5x and write that next. And then the only thing left over on the left-hand side that I'm working with right now is my constant, my number. So I'm going to write 20 next to it, but since it's a positive 20, I'm going to say plus 20. And I'm going to write that all equal to my right-hand side. It's equal to 4. So I just took care of descending order, and now I want to take care of getting it set equal to 0. So when I'm looking at it right now, it's set equal to 4. So I want to do the opposite to get the 4 to the other side. Since 4 is positive, I want to start by subtracting 4 from both sides. And it's important, again, in this lesson to make sure that you're subtracting with like terms. So you're not going to put it under the x squared term. That's not a like term. You're not going to put it under the x term. You want to put it under the other constant piece. So I'm going to write minus 4. Whatever we did to the right side, we're going to do the left side. And now I'm going to combine my like terms. 4 minus 4 are a 0 pair. 4 minus 4 is nothing. It's 0. So it's now set equal to 0. I have 20 minus 4. Positive 20 and negative 4 combine to give me a positive 16. And then I'm going to bring down everything that I haven't touched yet. So I need to bring down my first piece, my negative 2x squared, and then my negative 5x, and making sure that I have plus 16 equals 0 on the end. So we have our x squared piece first, then our x piece, then our constant, and it is set equal to 0. So we did our good check. We have our final answer. For the second example, I'm starting out with negative 7x plus 4x squared equal to 3 minus 3x minus x squared. And the first thing that I'm going to tackle again is making sure that my left side is in descending order. So when I look at my left side right now, I have an x piece and I have an x squared piece. I want my x squared piece to be first. So I'm going to write the positive 4x squared. And then after that, I'm going to write my negative 7x. We're basically just flip-flopping the two so that my x squared piece is first, my x piece is second. We don't have a constant term to put on the end right here, so we're going to leave it as that to start. I'm going to bring down my entire right-hand side. Now my goal is to get everything to the left-hand side, and it really doesn't matter what order you put these terms in the left-hand side. I'm just going to start out with the negative x squared, just because that's the one that I'm choosing to prefer. If I want to get negative x squared to the other side, I need to do the opposite. So I want to start by adding x squared to both sides, making sure that when I do so, I put it under the other x squared piece. So I'm putting it under the 4x squared, not the negative 7x. Now I have 4x squared plus 1x squared gives me 5x squared. Bring down your minus 7x. On the right-hand side, these two canceled out to give me a 0 pair. There's nothing there. So we're going to bring down only 3 minus 3x. The next term that I'm choosing to get to the other side is this negative 3x. So again, we're going to do the opposite. Since it's a negative, we're going to add 3x to both sides, making sure that since this is just an x, I'm placing it under the like term of just an x. I'm going to cancel out my 0 pair. On the right-hand side, all I have left over is that positive 3. I'm going to combine my like terms, negative 7x and positive 3x, combine to give me negative 4x. And I need to bring down my 5x squared. My final and last piece that I need to get to the left side is this 3. So again, we're going to keep doing what we were doing before, where you get it to the other side by doing the opposite. So since it is a positive 3, if I want to get it to the other side, I need to subtract 3. But wait, when we look at the left-hand side, I have an x squared piece and an x piece. I don't have any constants, so I don't have anything to actually combine it with. I'm going to therefore just place it on the very end, since my constants are supposed to be on the very end of my left-hand side. So I can cross out my 0 pairs. Now I'm going to write these in descending order. My 5x squared term first, and then my x term, and then my term that's just my number, the negative 3. You can give yourself a double check. I have my x squared piece listed first, my just x piece listed second, my constant listed last, right next to the equals 0. For the last example, we have 2x equals negative 4 minus 3x squared. Now my goal is usually to make sure that my left-hand side is in descending order, but there's only one term there. There's nothing to order it with, so I'm going to leave it as that and try to get everything to the left, keeping my order in mind. So it doesn't matter which piece you try to get to the left-hand side first. I'm again just going to go with the very last piece, getting my negative 3x squared to the other side. So I'm going to add 3x squared, doing the opposite. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. But you can see that this is an x piece. I'm trying to add an x squared piece. So we are just going to add it on without combining like terms. So now I can cross out my 0 pairs. I have a positive 3x squared that I'm going to list first, so that's in descending order. And then I have my next piece, my piece that's just an x, so plus 2x. And that's going to be set equal to the only remaining piece I have on the right-hand side, my negative 4. My last and final step is I need to get this negative 4 to the left-hand side also, so that my whole entire equation is set equal to 0. If it's a negative 4 right here, we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to add 4 to both sides. Once again, there's no pieces that are just constant terms. I have an x squared and an x, so I'm not going to combine it at all. I'm just going to write it on the end without combining like terms. So I can cross out my 0 pair, negative 4 and positive 4, add up to 0. I'm going to write these 3 terms in descending order. So my x squared term first, 3x squared, and then my term that's just an x plus 2x, and then my constant term plus 4. And we have our final answer.